thank you all for coming. I promise this. If I hit 100 subscribers, I will be doing a read-off of a part of my book that has a little bit of horror in it because it is October. Just to let you know, I couldn't print it off last night, so I'm going to have to use my laptop and read it off from there. So forgive me if it sounds kind of weird. This is the first reading I've ever done, so I'm not the most exerted. I don't know the word to use. But I will do my best. So please forgive me if you're like, wow, this guy sucks at reading out loud, because I kind of do. This is not the final version of this section of the book. My editor hasn't got to this part yet. So if it sounds a little off, if it's not all in past tense, I'm sorry. This is closer to the last chapters of the book. Of the first book, I should say. We haven't got this far in our editing process yet. It would take some time before I could get my editor to even be able to get to this point. So I decided I would work on it last night. I did the best I could, trying to get it edited to I'm not an editor, so sorry about this, guys. I know some of you out there are gonna be like, what? But hey, don't get me wrong, this is a pretty cool part of the book, so I'm gonna read it off. It's about 4 pages long. This section that I decided to do, it's not the full chapter, and it's not and I'm going to end it with a kind of a cliffhanger so it doesn't spoil anything. But here we go, guys. Are you ready? I'm ready. All right, thank you all. So please, if you can, stick with me, because it gets pretty decent. At least I think so. Yeah. Thank you. All right, here we go. Arthas, Zeke, and Eamon stood in front of the massive south-facing doors. They had to be at least 20 feet tall. Both doors were made of black iron. In front of the entries were carved almost as if they were alive, 2 dwarven faces. Eamon was the first to speak. Here are the first kings. Here lies our first kings. The name of the left is Caladan, and the right was his son Bodor. He bowed low before the doors. Arthas smiled, patted his friend on the shoulder. We need to go. Team Red is waiting. Arthas activated his comm mask and linked it to all the teams. Sign off. Give me your locations. Jade's voice came over. I'm here. I went to check on the jungle around to make sure Team Red wasn't planning on ambushing us. Alright, let me know if you see any signs. Krista, what is your position? I'm at the far edge of the valley, she said. I've set up a medical area in case anybody gets wounded. Alright. We are heading in. Comm should work while we are in the mountain. I want constant updates, said Arthas. They headed down into the dark. The first room was massive. It came into a small ledge, then it turned into a bridge over a half a mile long. Before it reached the far side were 2 massive tunnels, headed one up and the other down. The walls were mixed of natural caves, stalactites, and covered with dwarven markings, statues, and all more impressive than the other. But it was so dark, and very little sign of recent activity. The ground was covered in a deep layer of dust and dirt. There were signs, but nothing within the last day or so. Arthas stood at the edge of the bridge, thinking to himself, where could Dreg and Team Red be? Of all the times they've faced off in their training drills, Dreg had always been more aggressive in his tactics. Excuse me 1 second, I gotta go down. I wish I had this on paper. It would have been a lot easier. Okay. The bridge before them was wide enough for at least 10 men walking shoulder to shoulder. It had been an excellent place for an ambush, but there was no sign anywhere. The drag was preparing an ambush for them. Arthas, what is it? Asked Zeke eagerly. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what Drake's plan is. Alright, keep close. Look out. Keep a close lookout. But let's get over this bridge and start heading down the main chambers. Iman grunted. Alright, guys. I know a side passage that will get us down twice as fast as it's an old dwarven secret. See, I'm not very good at voices. Forgive me. Arthas smiled at his smaller bearded friend. Alright. I'll let you lead us then, Iman. They were soon on the other side of the bridge and heading down. Still nothing. Just a distant drip of some water on stone echoing off the cave walls. Arthas felt the hairs on his neck and his arms stand on end. Something was wrong, but he didn't know what it could have been. They moved down into the side passage. Almost missed it. If it had not been for Iman, it led all down away, but soon the air felt staler and hotter, and then they walked out into an old dead forge. Still, there was pockets of lava on the far sides to their left and right. Two massive forges were laid out before them, but long ago abandoned. Come, said Iman. Let me see, I just lost my place. Alright. Come, son, said Iman. This way leads to where we want to go down. If we intend to hit the throne room and the chambers below, deeper they went into the very heart of the mountain. Soon they came upon a massive cave that had houses and workshops, all very old, mostly run down, were built into walls. Arthas, said Zeke. There are signs that Team Red must have been here at least as recent as last night. You're right, said Iman. He was waving them over to where a campfire and its ash were still warm, barely. But that meant at least Team Red was here, and where they went to now was the question. Okay, Iman, you searched the right side. Zeke, you search the left. Search every building and see if you could find any kind of sign or trail to where they might have gone, said Arthas. I'll head to the throne room and see if there's any sign of them there. Jade's voice came over the comms. Arthas, I found several dead animals here in the jungle. They look like some beasts have torn them apart. I am searching the side of the mountain. I found a massive, deep chasm. It must have been made by that meteor that we saw fall last night. It looks like it may have gone as far as where you are. Be on the lookout. Thank you, Jade, said Arthas. We'll keep an eye out for this meteor that fell. Whole Team Red didn't get hit by it when it crashed last night. Arthas stood before another massive doors. It was the only way into the throne room, the old dwarf fort. He started to open the door, but by the Creator, shouted Iman. Arthas whirled around and ran towards Iman. Zeke was also heading there. Iman was pulling out a man half alive from one of the buildings. It was Drag. He was barely alive, soaked in blood. And one of his arms looked like it had been torn off by the elbow. Iman, what happened to me, Arthas? Wasn't I swear. But I found him holed up in the chest, as if he was hiding from something. Iman put it and Iman, get the emergency first aid kit immediately. Let's see if we can stop the bleeding. We need to get him to Krista as fast as possible. I'll head in, look and see if there's any arrested Team Red, if I can find any other survivors. Drake screamed out in pure terror. Stupid Peter. Just a second. Forgive me, guys. I'm sorry about this. Stupid computer jumped on me. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Drake screamed out in pure terror. His eyes were darting around as if he was somewhere else. Drake, it's Arthas. What happened? Answer me. Arthas? What? My men. The darkness. Where am I? It took them all. It took the darkness. It took them. We must get out of here. We must flee. Drake was sweating, and he looked like he was in pure panic. Iman hit him on the head, knocking him unconscious. Iman, why would you hit him? Sorry, but if he continued, he'd have bled out too fast. I need him asleep if I'm going to get this man out of here. Zeke, stand guard. I'll have a lookout. I'll have a look around. See if there's any more survivors. Arthas ran over to the throne room door, pushing his way in as hard as he could. As soon as the doors opened, he smelled it. A putrefied odor poured from the room. Its smell burned his eyes and his nose. He looked around. Blood was everywhere, as if a painter had thrown buckets of red paint all over the room. Then he saw most of the bodies were unrecognizable, torn apart. He went over and looked at them closer. They looked like they were torn apart by some kind of sharp-bladed claws and some puncture wounds that he could not recognize, as if they were attacked by multiple creatures at once, tearing at them from pieces to pieces. Then he saw the worst sight. An enormous pillar of stone was propped up, and the body of one of Team Red's women, a Kunda woman at the looks of it, was been nailed to the wall by massive metal bars. The body was stripped naked. Long cuts ran at the length of her body. She had been drained of her blood, but the head was gone. It had been torn clean from its body. Arthas fell to his knees. What in God's name could do something like this? Arthas has seen he has seen people die by animals. God dang it. Sorry guys. Give me 1 second. My stupid computer keeps jumping on me. Alright, here we are. Arthas has seen death by animals, but nothing is morbid than this. What kind of beast could do this? Arthas noticed there was a small light at the end of the hall. It was coming through when he walked over, still in shock of what he had seen before. There was a massive hole in the upper chambers that daylight was pouring into. This must be where the hole Jade had seen on the side of the mountain. He looked down where the meteor had gone. He could barely make out a massive black metallic-looking sphere. What in God's name is that? The light started to fade. It was getting darker out. We must have been down here in the fort a lot longer than I expected, said Arthas. And thought, there was a loud hiss and a sliding sound as the metal sphere started to open. Arthas' body froze. Without thinking, he ran as fast as he could back to the door. He was terrified, as if something inside him knew that the danger of something was coming. The sphere opened, and a blackness, darker than darkness, poured forth into the room. This darkness Arthas had seen before in his nightmares. It enveloped the room. The light was drained from all sources of light were drained from the room. He heard almost a sickening scream, and the darkness started to take shape. A creature stepped forth. It was around 9 feet in length. Its head was long and cynical, and at the center of its head was a massive red eye. It bore into Arthas. Its mouth was lined with deadly sharp teeth. It walked on 2 legs, but had 4 arms, bony, thin, but yet deadly. And at the end, it was massive clawed fingers. It also had a long, scorpion-like tail with a massive scythe-looking claw at its end. The creature stared as it could read into Arthas' very soul. It screamed, then tossed something towards Arthas. and then faded back into the shadows. Arthas looked down at the severed head of the lady whose body was nailed to the stone. Her eyes had been pulled from their sockets. Blood was still oozing from the wounds. But there was a sign of absolute terror on the face, frozen as if it would all be, as if their death was something of pure horror. He threw himself through the door. Zeke was coming towards him. "Help me shut this door!" Zeke's arms were shoved, and the door slammed closed. "We have to go now," yelled Arthas. He bolted the door with a metal beam that would keep it locked from the outside. Excuse me. Zeke, give me a second. Arthas yelled, "We have to go." Getting onto his comms, he ordered Krista and Jade, get back to Krista and see if you can't get an SOS out to the main base. We're going to need help, and we're going to need a lot. Jade acknowledged his commands. Krista, make sure we are ready. We have a badly wounded man coming up as well. Zeke, can you carry Dreg? Iman, you have front. I'll have the rear. We need to move now. Iman opened his mouth to ask what had happened, but the doors of the throne room shuddered as if something massive had hit them. And then again and again, like a booming drum. So Iman grabbed up his two-handed hammer, and they ran toward the tunnels, back toward the forge where they had come from. Not long after they had reached the first incline, the ground shook, and the doors of the throne room crumbled, and the darkness poured forth as if a mighty wave has been unleashed. Arthas felt Angel Wing on his back glow hot. Arthas pulled it out of his holder. It was glowing as if something in the weapon was awakening. He could feel it pulsating as if it wanted to use against the coming darkness. Arthas looked at the surrounding, knew that spear form might not be a good idea in its enclosed space, so he focused on two small swords. Like always, the angel weapon formed to his will and became two short silver swords. They kept running up the tunnel, the hair on the back of his neck staying on end. He could feel the cold darkness as if it was right on their heels. They finally made to the main hall, where the bridge was. Gasping for air, they took a minute to look behind them. Darkness was still coming. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry I had to keep stopping like this, but I know I'm right in the middle. "Keep going," shouted Arthas, pointing towards the bridge. "Run! Do not look behind you. Just run!" He saw the first creature coming out of the shadows just above them. He slashed anyone in a vertical slash. The blade cut through the darkness, cutting deep into the beast. It screamed and then was gone, as if there was nothing even there. "What in God's name are these things?" Arthas said under his breath, as if there was nothing even there. Oh wait, sorry. God's name are these. They were running full on over the bridge. One second, guys. Stupid computer is jumping on me. I'm sorry about that. I wish I had it on paper or printed. It would be a lot easier to read. Here we are. The door was open. They had only to break out and get into the open area to have a fighting chance. Two creatures came out of the darkness on Arthas' left and the other just above Zeke. Arthas jumped sideways, dodging the slash of the creature from its claws. And stabbed the beast in an open right side, just under its arms. It fell. He felt a pulse from Angel Wing. The beast gave out a horrifying scream, then exploded into mist. Arthas turned to see Zeke bent over, blood running down his arms. He took a nasty bite to the shoulder, but Iman had turned and slammed the creature in the face with his mighty hammer. It ended the beast in a bloody mess. The beast then turned to mist, like when Angel Wings attacked, like when Angel Wing bit down. Arthas didn't know but he had no time to ponder it. "Zeke, can you keep going?" "Yes, don't worry about me. No stupid dark creature would take me down so easily." He lifted Dreg and continued to run on the bridge. Arthas turned Willing Angel Wing back into the spear form. He turned just in time to see a demon lunge towards him, arms spread, teeth aimed at his throat. Arthas jumped and fell back. Falling under the creature, he plunged straight up through the creature's chest. For a long second, the creature's face was just an inch from Arthas' face. Then it screamed and then was gone. Arthas rolled backward, back onto his feet, and was almost up when a second creature came at him. He knew he didn't have time to get his weapon up, so he braced for the impact. Then a whistling noise came past his ears. From behind him, 2 long arrows bore into the creature's eye and shoulder, throwing it off and causing it to fall deep into the chasm below. Arthas didn't wait. He turned and ran to the door. Iman and Zeke had already passed through, and Jade was standing at the entrance with her bow. She already was firing arrow after arrow past Arthas into the darkness that was at his back. Just steps from the break, they both jumped, rolled, and passed the entrance, coming up and kept running, without looking to see if the darkness had followed it into the light of the outside. But the light was already starting to fade. Soon it would be nighttime, and the creatures would spill forth into the valley. As if a massive roar that came from the mountain shook the entire valley they stood, and the darkness poured from both the door and the hole that was where the meteor had fell, spreading the entire length of the mountainside's face. Arthas looked on in horror. There before his eyes weren't just a couple creatures, but hundreds, if not thousands, were stepping from the darkness, and all Arthas had was his small team. The faceless horde of dark things. Arthas closed his eyes, trying to catch his breath. Why, God, what are these things? Please. He made a quick prayer and readied himself. If he died here, he'd die as a warrior of Milan. He raised Angel Wing, pointed toward the mass of darkness, and he was ready beside him. Jason pulled back. Jade, standing behind him, pulled back her bow, ready to fire. Iman stood up, grabbing his hammer, pulling out a pouch of ale, took a deep drink, and laughed. This is a good day to fight and to die, he claimed. Krista was behind them, healing Zeke's wounded shoulder. He was also ready to fight. He could see from the burning flames of Zeke's eyes. Arthas knew his friends well and trusted them with his life. This is going to be a fight they have never seen before. The light faded, darkness shot forth like a wave of death. And that is the end. That is where I'm going to leave you guys. I know I'm not, an expert reader, so I hope I did a decent job. I'm not very good at voices and stuff. If I ever get audiobook made, when my novel is fully finished and out there, I'll make sure I get someone who actually can really bring the characters out there. Iman, I will tell a little bit about the characters that I've said so far, because I know you're kind of confused. Arthas, of course, is the main character. He's the character you will follow throughout this story. His companions are Jade, Zeke, and Iman, and Krista. All have their own special kind of thing. Zeke is his best friend and confidant. Jade is someone very special that you will see the bond grow between Arthas and Jade throughout the book. Iman is a dwarf, and in this book there are dwarves, and I explained them as they come from this area. Where this story takes place is actually not on Milan itself. It is on the moon of Milan. Milan has 2 twin moons. One is a dead, lifeless moon like ours, but they built a space station on it. And the second one is called Creed. And on Creed, it is a jungle moon. Think of Yavin 4 from Star Wars. Think of something like that. It's a very dense jungle, mountain-ranged moon. It has an atmosphere, and the dwarves originated from this moon. They were discovered by the people of Milan, by Arthas' great-grandfather, or grandfather, I should say, who is the High King. And when when they were discovered, their world was very limited on resources because it's just a small moon, so they burned through all the resources. They were running, their forests were dying, the jungles were dying. They didn't know how to take care of their world. They mined it, they've used it up. And so, thanks to Arthur's grandfather, they were able to bring all the dwarves back to Milan. So this place they are on is the old ancient dwarven home. They are now all living in Milan, so no one really takes care of it. But they use it as a training place. You'll get to know all this throughout the book. It's fully explained. The creatures you saw were actually the creatures, I should say, that you saw was designed by a good artist that I know. He's on Twitter. His name is, Pancake something? Yeah. But this is the creature that I was trying to... And this is the demon of Shadow, the Shadow Demons. You'll get to know them in this book as they're one of the main creatures they'll have to face. I think he did a very good job at bringing the demons that I felt to life. The horror, I really wanted when the demons come forth, I don't want them to be like, I want them to be something that would really bring out a true terror in my characters. And I hope I captured a little bit in this short, little thing I've done. It is not fully edited, like I said before. I will be doing, it still needs to be put in past tense, and it still needs to get a little bit of work done on the sentencing structure. But as soon as I get that fully edited, and if I need to do any rewrites, I'll do that. But this is pretty much what it's going to be in the book at this point of the book. I hope you enjoyed this little read. I hope it, got you excited for my book. I hope it even if I'm a terrible fucking reader and my computer kept jumping on me during that, I'm so sorry about that. I really wanted to print off, but when I went to do it, my printer just would not print, and I'm just like, fuck. So, this is what I got. I hope you enjoyed this, guys, and I thank you all for my 100 subs. I will be doing a live stream this week. I do plan on doing one this Friday with Will and maybe a couple others. If I can get them to do some Star Trek talk, I may throw in... I got to figure out when is a good time to do it, because a lot of people have a lot of live streams, and I kind of want to get people on to thank them, especially Culture Casino and some others, on helping me hit 100. They've been a big help to me, very big help, especially Culture Casino. I want to thank him so much because he helped me do my intro without asking me to give him any money, which I'm thankful for because I can't afford it right now. But just for helping me and keeping me on his live stream, and so many others like him that have really brought me on as a fellow creator and have really believed in me. And all of you who have subscribed to me as fans of this channel, of me, as I'm a fan of so much of you, thank you all for coming. Hail the Mirror Sphere. Hail the Fandom Menace is what I meant. Hail the Fandom Menace. Thank you all for coming. Hail Comicsgate. Be good to each other, and I'll see you next time here on the Mirror Sphere. Have a good day.